Welcome to
Hey,
our first ever How We Hustle, the show dedicated to helping you stack dead presidents and keep your sanity in the gig economy. What is going on, Kim?
how are you guys doing? I am just so excited to be back with you. And first of all, I loved that intro. I think it was hilarious. When you told me that, so that's what you were going to say, I was laughing through a text. I know you couldn't hear me laugh, but like I was laughing through a text.
Hey, stacking dead presidents, right? That should be the ultimate goal for all gig workers.
Yeah.
So to avoid any confusion, we are streaming to my channel, we're streaming to Kim's channel, and we're streaming to Kim's Instagram. So in the event that we are responding to comments that you don't see, it probably came through on the platform you are not watching us on.
Yeah. For some reason, StreamYard hasn't integrated the chats yet. So, and I apologize if you are watching us on Instagram. We can not see your chats in StreamYard, but we still appreciate you being here. So, chat amongst yourselves if you're coming from Instagram.
So Kim, before we get into it, how we haven't been live together in a few weeks.
It has been. It's, I think what was it? No, we haven't even been together since like the new year, right? So, Happy New Year,
Right.
everyone.
Happy New Year to everybody. Kim, did you get wasted? What'd you do for New
No,
Year's Eve?
no, I'm too old to get wasted.
I'm not. I'm not.
I don't even think I made it to midnight. I don't even think I saw the ball drop.
You're one
I'm
of
old.
those.
Like, I'm so old.
You're one of those. So,
Uh,
okay. And
yeah.
how have the orders and the driving been since?
I had to switch up my game a little bit. I feel like every January comes around, and I feel like we go through this. So I've been doing this since 2017, 2018, somewhere around there. So I feel like every January we're like, it's January again, because you're so used to, December and then it's January. So like I had to switch up my game and think differently, which I can go into, in a little bit what I did. But it seems to be working for me, and I'm actually doing okay this
Okay, right on. So, Kim, I I don't mean to be the eternal pessimist. I really don't. But 2023 was a rough year, I think, for a lot of drivers. It was certainly rough for me. And I don't think 2024 has very good things in store for us either.
I think 2023, I call it the year of changes because I feel like not just even DoorDash, even though we're going to talk about DoorDash tonight, I feel like a lot of apps did a lot of readjusting based off of the economy, based off of them trying to make money, trying to make off profits, and really who really loses out. It's usually
Mm.
the dasher who usually is the one who gets screwed, is basically when it comes down to, especially when it comes to company profit. So I think 2023 was the year of changes for a lot of these apps.
Mhm.
And I don't see 2024 honestly being any different, right?
So, I mean, I guess I'm approaching this from the perspective of base pay is going down on pretty much all of the apps, right? The customers aren't tipping as well or as often. Uh, and not to mention, we've got the government kind of sticking their nose in it, and they're writing laws in a lot of places, which could be good in some cases, but it could also be a dumpster fire, you know?
Yeah. I'll be honest. I don't know what's going to come with the new legislation. I think we're just starting to see like the very beginning of things to come in different cities, in different states. And
Yeah.
hopefully we're gonna, get you guys through this next year of whatever happens. But I'll be honest, it's a little scary not knowing. I know for me, like I want to know what my future holds. I want to know how much money I'm going to make. I want to go out and I want to just go out and hustle like I normally do. And I feel like you can't do that anymore. And you really have to change your game, so to speak, in particular to, the gig economy. So it's going to be an interesting year, I have to tell you.
So I guess that leads me to my first question for you, Kim, and for the entire chat. Please do chime in. Is DoorDash dying? Are we seeing the slow death of DoorDash?
I think DoorDash is dying. I don't think we've seen the death of them. Like, I think that these changes that they're doing benefits them. I think they're thinking company wise and longevity, and I think they're thinking profits. But I don't think they're thinking of how it's affecting drivers and how we're making money. I think they're very selfish,
Yeah,
and
see,
they're only thinking about
I
themselves.
don't think they give a damn about us.
Oh
And
no.
actually, matter of fact, so I was doing the slides last night for the show, and I got a little creative thinking about my predictions for 2024, and this is my vision of DoorDash in 2024. So I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but that's the way I see it happening. And honestly, Kim, like there's a few reasons for that. The base pay, for example, right? You just got slashed by what, 75 cents in order?
75 cents. Can you believe that? That's, to me, absolutely insanely ridiculous.
It's like almost a third of what we used to get paid
Yeah.
in one swoop.
I think I was trying to do the math. I mean, this is back like months ago when we got that hit. And I want to say it was 20, like it was high. It was like 26%, 23%, somewhere in that ballpark about how much we lost off of our base pay, which,
Yeah.
man, it hurts.
Well, yeah. I mean, and if you think about it, right, it's not like they're lowering customer fees and therefore encouraging more orders. They're just slashing it and keeping more of the money that used to go to the driver. And actually, in the chat, please do chime in. If you got hit with a base pay reduction, let us know how much you got hit with. So, Kim, I mean, 75 cents an order, right? Like, I'm not going to do this mental math very quickly here, but I would assume that would end up being potentially a few $1,000s a year for a full-time
Oh,
driver.
I had the whole math broken down last
Oh,
year. I had it all broken
what you
down.
got? Come on.
I think it was 300, if I remember correctly, for me, who works an average of 40 hours a week, not just on DoorDash. I do multi-app, but just say for shits and giggles, it was 40 hours a week. But anyway, based off of what I would average, I would do usually 1,000 or more per week. So it ends up being $300 per month. And trying to remember per year, I think it was like $3,600 per year, I think is what I was losing. So the bigger thing with all of this, and I don't think anybody sees 75 cents and go, no big deal, but it is a big deal because if relying just on DoorDash, which nobody should, to be honest, in my opinion, no one should be just relying on
Yeah.
DoorDash. Is
Well, any
now,
one app.
no, nobody should be relying on just one app, period. But if you were, you now have to stay out longer. You now have to take more orders. You now need to make up because your goals don't change, your bills don't change just because DoorDash decided to slash their base pay.
Yeah. So there's something that I want to point out really quick, Kim, before we go any further.
Yeah.
Let the record reflect that Kim was the first one to swear on the new show, not me. So are we getting you riled up already?
Nah. I get riled up when someone takes money from me. Anybody should be riled up when you lose money. Like, no one likes losing money,
okay.
right?
Yeah, of course. Nobody wants to lose money. But here's the problem, right? We keep having drivers who accept these orders. So, call me petty or whatever, but my Grubhub base pay used to be $9. That was the absolute bare minimum I would ever get on Grubhub was $9 an order. And when they started slashing the base pay, for the first like year and a half after that happened, I wouldn't touch a single Grubhub order that was under $9. I would mark every one of them as order too low. I'm like, I am not going to feed into this.
Yeah. Grubhub is just.
So, I mean,
I mean, like, I
I
feel
don't
like
know. I
we
might
can
be
do like
stubborn, Kim, but I'm like, I don't want to be like, I just don't want to be like, oh, screw you guys for lowering my pay, but can I have another one, please? Like, I need another one. It's like getting backhanded and then screwing over again and doing exactly what you did before.
It is, however, your bill companies don't don't really accept that. Your bill companies are always going to want their money, right? Your cable bill always needs to be paid. Your gas and electric, your mortgage, your rent, like they don't care that. They just care about getting their money. They don't care that DoorDash slashed their prices, which I think all of us
Yeah.
are in the gig economy to have some reason, whether it's part time and you're paying off debt or you're part time and you're like you're saving for college.
Like,
Like,
can you
there's
imagine that
always
though? Like, can you imagine going up to your landlord and being like, oh, sorry, hey, my pay got slashed by 75 cents an order. So, instead I'm only going to pay, 3/4 of my rent this month. And you're just going to have to deal with it. Right. That's not how the world works. And that's not how the world should work. The prices always go up. Why are we always the ones who are taking the nosedive?
That is a very, very good question that I have absolutely
well, it's
no.
asked backwards.
It is, but as drivers, like we're always expected to adapt, right? Like I feel like that's everything that a lot of YouTubers, gig tubers, like always come out of our mouths. Like you have to adapt, you have to adapt, and I feel like it's one of those things that like it always comes out of our mouth, but it's like it's literally the truth. If you don't adapt, you're not making money. If you don't take orders, you're not making money.
So, I mean, yes, to an extent, right? Like we always have to adapt, but there's adaptation that's detrimental to the driver in the long run. So I think that we need to have that conversation on what productive adaptation looks like versus destructive adaptation.
Okay. I don't know. I guess my bill companies don't care whether DoorDash slashed the prices. They just care that they're getting their money. And how, as a driver, am I still going to be making the money, even though I just lost 75 cents, which means thousands of dollars per year?
Okay. Right. So I understand your perspective. I guess where I'm coming from, though, is how are drivers going to adapt when our base pay keeps getting slashed and they're not getting screwed in the process?
Well, the driver's always going to get screwed. Even though you get screwed, you still have to move on and keep making money. Like
Well,
you can't, unfortunately, dwell
I think you're wrong.
on. No, see, I'm not wrong.
No, well, yeah, because the driver isn't always getting screwed if you know how to play the game better than they do.
Well,
Like
you
can
play the game by getting more apps and doing apps that are going to make you money and pick up
that's
what you've lost on
part of
DoorDash.
it.
So
That's part of it, but another huge
so
part
then
of it
what's
is
your
not
solution
accepting.
then?
Well,
So
I mean,
if
it's
there's
not accepting a new normal is part of it. You can't be like, oh well, shit, the pay just went down 75 cents, so instead of accepting
but you
orders that are
have to.
paying.
If you don't accept the new order, well, then you're not going to be making money.
Well, I mean, hear me out though. What I'm saying is, you don't want to go from accepting like a $6 minimum order to now accepting a $5.25 order. Like you can't be doing that. That's destructive
You
adaptation.
really don't have a choice sometimes. If you're in a market just like mine and you don't know when your next order is going to come in, if it's 5.25 going a mile, you're going to have to take it in order to be making money and to be paying your bills. I think that's kind of where the adaptation, as you particularly said, comes in. Like you still have to go out and you still have to make money regardless. You might not like it. Just like a company, right? We always talk about W-2. Company changes the policies. You think it's absolutely crap, but you know what? In order to keep your job, you still have to keep doing it.
So, okay, this is something that you and I have butted heads on a few times, and let's see if I can finally resonate with you on this. If you have a ton of apps, you should never have to accept that new normal. Like, I'm
But
never going to see a
all
$4
apps don't
order.
perform the same way. Just because I have 16 different apps doesn't mean that they all perform or I like them or that they actually give me orders. For example, deliver that, right? So
Yeah.
I have delivered that. I haven't seen I delivered that order come through since the week before Christmas. One just came through to my phone this morning. That's how long of a span. So it's not like it produces like orders after orders after orders. Not all apps perform the same. So just because you have umpteen apps like myself, yeah, it gives you more opportunity, but you still have to rely on apps to still make your everyday bills, unfortunately, like DoorDash.
Yeah, so I understand that, and we don't disagree with that, but I want to actually look at a different perspective here. If you are like the catering app specifically, so I understand that you're going sometimes weeks without seeing a single order on there. But when you get an order, are they usually paying substantially more than what you would see on like DoorDash, Uber, Spark, whatever else you're running, Instacart?
I mean, I did 2 catering orders today. One was delivered, and that was $25, and then I turned around and did a deliver that. Now, the thing with deliver that is I did an easy cater on deliver that, and it's a tip pool, so I get paid on Friday for that, which means I won't know until tomorrow what the actual payout will actually be.
What the actual
I know,
fuck?
deliver that. I know, deliver that, it's a little
It's a
complicated. The
little
pay is really
different.
good.
It's
I
gotta
know.
like it's gotta like shipped.
Yeah, a
So
little
you just
bit,
got to do
but
it and then hope for
it
the
pays
best.
better. It pays a lot better than shipped.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to get on a tirade about shipped right now. So I guess Kim, at the end of the day, if you run a bunch of apps, right? If you've got Spark, DoorDash, Uber Eats, Instacart, whatever, right? You shouldn't have to conform to a new normal. There should always
See,
be the
I don't
work.
agree with that. You almost have to. I mean, for me, just because DoorDash cut my base pay, it's still the busiest app in my market, right? So I don't know whether you guys have seen it. So the Bloomberg report just came out, like, I think it was like last week, and it's an update on the market share of food delivery. DoorDash is still 66% of the market share of food delivery, which to me shocked the you know what out of me in particular, just because I really felt like Uber Eats was closing the gap, at least during Christmas time. Like I was starting to see like a little bit of a rebound come back with Uber Eats. And then this came out. I'm like, I guess Uber Eats isn't rebounding. So, you know, I it's still my busiest app. Like I'm still doing a decent amount of money on DoorDash and all the other. What I adapted to was these not the pay change. Yeah, you adapt, but you also have to adapt right now in January, slow time. So I switched my gears because grocery delivery never dies, right? Everybody
Yeah.
always needs their grocery delivery. And um, with that being said, like I just switched gears so I was still making money on my grocery apps opposed to food delivery. And that's how I'm generating like my good week still coming for the month of January.
Yeah. I think I think that was for you, Kim. Thank you, Thomas. So, okay, I want to ask you this, Kim, and I want the chat to chime in here. What do you think the base pay is going to be at the end of the year? What do you think we're going to average market by market? And I know, I know it's just an educated guess, but what is that educated guess?
My personal opinion, I think it's
Yeah.
going to depend on what the legislation is going to do for a lot of these apps.
Let's say the government stays out of it. Let's say there's no regulation and they're just free to do what they want. What do you think? Let's go with DoorDash specifically. What do you think that DoorDash is going to have the base pay at by the end of this year?
Honestly, I think they're going to stay the same.
I disagree.
I know you're
So
gonna
I
disagree. You're gonna say that it's gonna go down to like a dollar or $0. I don't think it's
yeah,
ever gonna go down to $0, to be honest with you.
I think it absolutely will.
No, I
I
don't think so.
I think it's
So
no,
if
I
you
think by
okay,
the
let's think logically though about this for half a second. So and you're going to have to correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was 2021 when we got that email saying that our base pay was changing back in 2021. I know it wasn't 2020 because that was the year of the pandemic. I think it was the summer after.
I think it was 22.
Okay. Well, 2021,
Close enough. It doesn't
2022.
matter.
So we're talking like 2, maybe 3 years ago that we
Yeah.
went through a base pay change. I don't think they're going to do it right away. I think it's going to take like maybe like a 2-year span, and
Yeah.
then
Okay.
we might see a dollar. I don't think we'll ever go down to $0, but we might see another base pay change.
So what you're saying is fair, and I do kind of have to concede to your point a little bit,
Well, I'm
a
sorry,
little bit,
what?
a
I'm like,
little
"What?"
bit. Hold on, hold on. See, I haven't gotten to the part where I'm still right in the end. So, okay, the last base pay reduction that they did was just this huge sweep. They devastated hundreds of markets around the country. Typically, what happens is when DoorDash comes in and they start lowering the pay, they pick a handful of markets and they do it there. And then it's, like they'll, they'll mess with, 10 markets over here and then they'll mess with 10 markets over there. So I think it's very feasible that by the end of this year, we could see some markets that are as low as $1 on single orders.
Mm, I don't honestly, I don't see that happening. But that's once again just my own
Okay.
particular opinion. I just don't see it happening. I think they still have to contribute something, whether whatever it may be. I don't think they're gonna go that low yet.
So, okay. All right. So that's fair. Kim, I don't know how to put the slide back up.
I'll get it for you.
This is the first time that I have somewhat control. So bear in there with us. But
Welcome to the
why?
driver's
What?
seat, as I said.
Right. But what is the motivation though, Kim, eh, to not lower it when oversaturation is the way it is? Because people are compromising on the orders. They're like, well, I haven't seen an order in 20 minutes. I'm going to take the next thing that comes my way, even if it pays like shit, you know?
You do have to do that, unfortunately. If you
Mhm.
wanna stay in the gig economy, unfortunately, you're gonna have to lower your standards. If you are in a slow market, I'm going to preface that not everybody's in the same market, but if you're in a slower
Mhm.
market, you're going to have to take orders or even lower your standards if you want to make the same amount of money, if not even more money. And we this is where we differ a lot, a lot. Like I am the person who I cannot sit still. Give me an order and I'm off. You're the person who okay, I'm going to wait around. If I waited around like you did, I would not even come close to making the money I do on a daily and weekly basis.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's fair. So I guess part of it is the market because if I were to act like that, right, and I were to go and just kind of compromise on everything I do, I would be making like a third, maybe not a third, but maybe like three-fifths of what I otherwise would make if I'm sitting around and being extremely choosy with the orders I'm accepting. Thank you, Thomas. I appreciate that, man.
I it's rough. It's almost like DoorDash. We'll talk about DoorDash, right? DoorDash has kind of put a lot of drivers in a very tough spot, right? So what we used to have in our own mindset, like I'm never taking this order. I'm making this up, $4 for 2 miles. I'm not doing, anything less than $2 a mile. And then slowdown happens, oversaturation happens, base pay happens, like call it like the perfect storm of everything happening. Unfortunately, in order to make money in a lot of the gig economy, like you're going to have to lower your standards in order to make money. And that's where they put all of us drivers in a tough spot because we all have our own morals on what we would take and what we would not take. But now we're forced to still make money and take orders we normally wouldn't take.
So, do you think that the drivers, theoretically speaking, if we could actually organize the vast majority of drivers and we could all collectively agree to not take anything below like $6, right? At
It would
least
never
a
happen.
dollar, $2 a mile. Well, I know, but like this is hypothetical. Not take anything below like $1.50 or $2 a mile. Do you think that that would force the gig apps hands and that we would start seeing reasonable pay for the work we're doing?
No, I don't think it would ever work because and I'm gonna tell you why. Just hear me out for 1 second. And you said
Lay
it's
it on me.
hypothetical.
Lay
But
it on me.
but but if it just would never work because DoorDash will always find ways of deactivating drivers, seasoned drivers, to get in new drivers that are going to take every order that they see, that don't know any better, that have no knowledge of DoorDash. And you're always going to have those drivers out there that are going to, utilizing taking every order because they feel like they need to. And I am actually saying, like, I'm still top dasher. That hasn't changed, but I need to be top dasher in my market. I know you're rolling your eyes, but I need to be top dasher in my market in order to get on the schedule, because I cannot get a schedule if I am not top dasher. So that's another thing that, like, DoorDash like dangles over drivers' heads. I don't agree with it, but unfortunately,
Ooh.
it's the only way that I can make money on the DoorDash app in my
Yeah.
area. But as long as
So that's one of
there's
the most
drivers out
ass
there
backward
taking over
things.
order. Go ahead.
I think one of us is lagging a little bit. Sorry. It's one of the most ass backward things about DoorDash is that you have to schedule. You can't
Yeah,
just drive whenever you choose to. Like, that is not an independent contractor move. That is a pseudo employee move.
it is. But, speaking of oversaturation, so I'm going to go back to the whole Seattle legislation in your
Yeah.
neck of the woods a little bit.
Mhm.
So, one of their things is, and it's part of the Seattle legislation, is they can no longer schedule, like, it's against legislation. Um, and because it's a part of legislation, every driver in Seattle can now dash now whenever they want. And when I first saw this, I'm like, yeah, that's freaking awesome. Finally, like, it's going to just be like Uber Eats. And then, like, I kind of step back and go, oh, wait a minute. Sorry. Oh, wait a minute. If it's just like Uber Eats, and I'm thinking of my own area, and I can't tell you how many ridiculously amounts of new drivers are in my area causing oversaturation. If every single one of those dashers were able to dash now whenever they want, it would lead to even less orders for drivers. So it's like a catch 22, right? So I don't believe there should be schedules. I think it's a huge pain in the butt, but at the same time, does it really help oversaturation?
Okay. Well, all right.
I don't
I
know. What do you think?
I see your point. Kim, at the end of the day, I just think that drivers compromising past their limits is contributing to reductions in pay. I think that I think if every driver out there had some standard, and I know it's a pipe dream, it's wishful thinking, but if we had some sort of a standard, then we wouldn't have these problems, right? DoorDash knew that they couldn't lower the pay anymore and get orders delivered. It just wouldn't happen. So
Yeah, it's just it's like the same concept if you think about it. Like, whenever we see these DoorDash strikes or whatever
yeah.
strikes that are going on, like, they never work because there's never enough drivers to make an impact. Like, if they get 100,000, even 500,000 drivers, does it really going to make a difference? Because they're only going to raise the peak pay in whatever areas people are striking, and it's going to get more dashers to come out and make money. So, like, they always have a plan to be in control of the money they're making and getting drivers to take orders. So I just don't think it will change, unfortunately.
Uh Not quite, but that did make me chuckle. uh Steve. Thanks, man. I think that was you though. I want to put up this slide, Kim, because I feel like it's relevant to kind of what all drivers everywhere are seeing. Are orders drying up in your market as well? I think I know the answer, but humor me.
Yeah, they absolutely are. It's like I said, I went out before I got in here tonight. I went out and I was working. It was take an order. You kind of wait around a little bit. Yeah, get a crap order, and then eventually a good order would come in, and, like, it's definitely like a waiting game, right? So it's definitely has dried up, at least in my market.
So, real quick, we're going to come back to that in just a second here. Cray Cray Nay, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I love her. She's a sweetheart.
She's a sweetheart. Hi, Craig.
So, yeah, okay, let's get back to this. So, again, it kind of plays into what I was talking about before, though. If there's fewer orders, more drivers, when a driver does finally get an order, they're more likely to take it,
Yeah.
even if it's, barely profitable.
So are you saying you wouldn't take the $9 for 4 miles?
Oh, no, I
Is that
took
what you're
that
saying?
one.
I'm like, are you saying you
No, I took that
I was
one.
gonna,
It was
like,
like the
jump
first.
on you?
No, it was the first screenshot on my phone when I was in Photoshop. So I just like transferred it. I'm like, screw it, let's go with this.
Oh, okay,
So
'cause I was literally gonna jump on you in, like, 5 seconds
okay,
when
I'll tell
you
you what.
said that
How
'cause
about
I don't
this? How about
know.
this? I'm going to change my answer. Artistically speaking, I was trying to convey that decent orders are drying up.
Oh, okay, we'll go with that.
I'm like the pecan DoorDash and shit.
I'm like, I was ready. I was ready to pounce on you on this one.
So yeah, but here in a little bit, we're gonna get to some other orders that I didn't take, and we're gonna go from there. But Kim, it's taking longer,
It
and
does
I
take
just
longer.
don't want to work for like $4 an order. Like that would end up being freaking what? Like if I'm lucky, $12 an hour, screw that. And that's before my gas and my expenses and stuff. Like I'm not about to do that. So Dave, thank you so much, man. Appreciate you, bro.
I don't know. Like I said, I've found a different way of working. Like I don't work the same way that I used to 2 months ago, 2
Yeah.
years ago. Like I don't even come close to working the same way. I feel even by day, depending on what's going on, like it completely changes my strategy on whether I have a catering order or if it's forget about it. If it's 10 o'clock in the morning or even like, like the mid morning before lunch starts, like it's ghost town. Like you can
Mhm.
literally, like my phone, it's just like, oh my God, can an order just come in? But I know if I turn on Instacart, if I turn on sometimes Spark, like there's always somebody doing some kind of shopping or grocery delivery because people always need groceries. So it's literally adapting by day and how I'm going to make my money.
So I want to be crystal clear here because I could see somebody misconstruing my words. So I think that you should adapt depending on like the time of day of the week, right? So like I won't take an order for less than $6, or at least I try not to.
That's very different. So
Well,
you wouldn't take a $4 order literally going less than a mile away and you were like literally sitting in like a
no,
McDonald's parking lot?
no.
What's wrong with you? Snack.
It's really hard to pronounce.
What?
What's wrong with me? It's really hard to pronounce. So, no, Kim, I'm not going to accept that because, like,
You can't say it's not profitable because it is profitable. If you're taking a $4
it,
order and it's going a less than a
I'm
mile,
not.
you
I'm
can't
not
tell
taking
me it's not
a $4 order.
profitable.
I'm not doing it. Okay, I'll tell you what. If nothing else, out of principle, I'm not taking a $4 order unless I'm multi-apping. If I've got
And
like
then
a
you're
quick
losing money.
Eats or something like that, and it's going in the same direction, then sure, I'll make another $4. But Tony can kiss my ass for $4.
I don't agree.
I feel the judgment strong, Kim. Like it's like radiating through my screen and like hitting me right in the soul.
So let's get the chat involved with our little dispute here because
See?
I feel like this has been
Hmm?
like an ongoing dispute with us. Would you take a $4 order if it was going, I'm even making this at 0.9 miles. I'll even go up to a mile. Would you take a and you're like sitting in the McDonald's parking lot and it's literally going right down the street. Would you take a
Just yes or
$4
no?
order? Yes or no?
Ooh, that one. Where did it go? I can't put this one up because it got hidden, but I agree with it. Uh, Wayne Brady agreed they can kiss a lot of ass for $4. Very well said. All right. So Thomas says yes. Pam says no. We got Wayne with no. Fight Channel with yes. Mike would rather go home broke. I'm not sure what this means. We got Fresh Air saying yes. I will. Kim and I are known to duke it out from time to time. So
It's all in good
I
fun.
Kim, I don't know. It is pretty mixed here.
It
So I
is
mean,
mixed.
there's a lot of people that agree with you, and then there's a lot of people who are right.
Yeah. What? Yeah. No, you didn't. No, 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 no.
I got you.
I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, wait a minute.
That is what you call getting somebody with a gotcha.
Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute. No, 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 no.
So okay, all right. You know what? It seems to be
Feel like we're divided
pretty.
again.
It seems to be pretty divided. So I think that
We'll agree to disagree, right?
for now we're gonna have to agree to disagree. So
We'll come
I
back to
think
that at a later.
I really do think it'd be interesting one of these days, Kim, to do a market swap and see how we come out of that.
Oh, you're gonna fly all the way over to the East Coast to New
So
Jersey.
yeah, sure. I mean, maybe I've never been to the East Coast, so why not?
I've never been to the West Coast.
Like, oh, it's awesome. It's
So
expensive,
it's
but
New
it's
Jersey.
awesome.
So do you think
Well, I
New
don't.
Jersey?
I haven't been. I'm gonna have to take your word for it. But Kim, it's not just fewer orders and oversaturation.
Pam
There's less
says
tips.
Pam says people talk funny in New Jersey. I do have a New Jersey accent. I get made fun of it all the time.
But what's funny though is Pam's from Minnesota. Like they've got thick accents there. So Pam was the person who did that video where I
Yeah,
showed the pay discrepancies with DoorDash.
that was
So
awesome.
yeah, it was. Thank you again to Pam for that. But Kim, it's also fewer tips, right? So again, so this kind of creates an
Okay,
interesting problem.
just
We're having this like
hold
okay,
on for 1 second. I would cancel it if it was a 10-minute wait. I would just for $4. I would just cancel it. But I'm talking like if in my market, like I know my McDonald's like the back of my hand. If I'm sitting in the McDonald's parking lot and every single one of my McDonald's orders is a grab and out the door, grab and out the door, I'm taking it. Sorry.
so there's this interesting problem that exists in our line of work where the drivers and the customers kind of tend to hate each other sometimes. Would you agree
Yeah.
with that so far or not so much?
Um. So I have my own opinion. On this I think there's a big battle between DoorDash drivers and customers, but I think there's a battle because DoorDash pits us against each other. Like I feel like a lot of times they're the root cause of why the customers fight with drivers and drivers fight with the customers.
Yeah. So over time, my tone is kind of changing a little bit on this. Like, don't get me wrong. If you order a luxury service, then you should tip the person providing the service for you. So, but with the reductions in base pay, we're seeing the customers having to make up more and more of the pay for drivers like me who won't sacrifice on the quality of orders I'm taking. So it really kind of puts the customers in a shitty spot.
It absolutely does.
And what happens when we just have that mass exodus of tipping culture in the United States? Like we're getting there. People are getting frustrated with it.
Well, if you go to New York City, then they don't tip until after or don't tip at all. So,
Yeah.
if it's working in New York City and they're still making a profit, watch out the rest of the country. We might see that in other areas, if not the whole country, if it's working and orders are still being delivered and people are still getting paid and DoorDash. The whole entire thing is DoorDash making money. So if DoorDash is making money, we might see the tipping culture completely change.
What's going on, Sergio? Yeah, I don't know, Kim. I think that we're gonna keep seeing the reductions in base pay. We're gonna see fewer customers tipping the way that they did. Matter of fact, actually, what do you think the breakdown of your base pay versus tips are?
I can tell you mine is 75% or more, usually in tips versus
Okay.
base pay. That's usually like my average for DoorDash, right?
Okay.
I think that's right.
So mine is right about 70%. So 70% tips, 30% base pay. Now, the which isn't bad, but the issue I have with that is about a year or 2 years ago, it was like 90%. So I think it was like 2 years ago. It was like 90% roughly. So we're losing approximately.
See, I'm
Uh,
gonna disagree. I'm gonna disagree with you there. I don't think it was higher. I think it was lower, just based off of we like when I first started DoorDash, I was getting a $5 base pay when I first started DoorDash. So even with a $5 base pay, even if you didn't, I hate to say, didn't get a tip, then did you really care that you didn't get a tip at a $5 base pay? So I feel like the tips were a lot lower a couple of years ago, especially during like pandemic times, because yeah, people were tipping amazing, but DoorDash's base pay was 10 times higher than what it is currently right now.
so that was also around the time that they were stealing tips too, though. Like that's something else you got to factor in.
True. Yeah. How many years ago was that? That was like 3 or 4 years ago, though.
Yeah, it was like 3 or 4 years ago. So it
Right.
was what? That was pretty close to the time you were driving, right? Or
Oh, I've been
started
driving. I was,
5 years,
yeah,
right?
probably. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know. I see it being a progressive problem.
Mm.
So, but I want to get the chat's opinion. Do you think that you're getting more tips now, or are you seeing fewer tips? Because Kim, I'm definitely seeing fewer.
I think people are being more cautious with their spending. I
Yeah.
think people are being um especially with the way the economy is right now. I feel like if the economy was better, I think people would be kind of making a little bit better, free flowing with their money. But like I think of myself, like I was a customer too, right? So I used to order DoorDash at least like once a week, and then we're talking about 2, 3 years ago. But even me, I'm like, why? Like one day I was just like, why am I ordering DoorDash? I can just go get it myself. And it's like literally half the price of what I would spend to go get DoorDash. So I'm like, why am I just going not getting? So if I have that mindset, I'm pretty sure that there are other people, doing it whatsoever. So, I see it dwindling, but if you're on the large order program, which I'm pretty sure some of you guys are, like I've seen less LOP orders, but not in tips, if that makes any sense.
Hold on, run that past me again. I was like reading comments, so I was ignoring you.
That's okay. If you're on the large order program,
Yeah.
I've seen less orders come in on the large order program, but not less dollar amounts. Like the people who are ordering larger quantities are still tipping pretty decent, but you're just not getting as many of them.
Okay. All right, I gotcha. I, I'm tempted to keep going at this, but you know what? I think that we're gonna keep beating our heads against the wall. So
It's okay. I honestly, what I honestly feel bad for sometimes is honestly the customer. And I'm going to talk about like the single person. Like, say you're a single woman, a single man, and you're living by yourself and you want to order. I'm making this up, Mexican. And some customers don't look at the Uber Eats or even DoorDash and they just say, I just want Mexican tonight, and don't realize that the order that they're ordering from, or the restaurant they're ordering from, is, making this up, 7 miles away, right? But I just want a burrito. That's the only
yeah,
thing I want. So I order a burrito and say my total is $15. So you're thinking, okay, $15. If I give them a 20% tip, it's $3. They don't know that DoorDash only base pay is only $2. So it ends up being a $5 order going 7 miles to the customer. I just tipped 20%. That's the right thing to do, right? But then I think this is where the misconception is. Like, in my opinion, DoorDash should be raising the base pay to
yeah.
compensate the driver driving the 7 miles. It's not the customer's fault. They did the right thing. They tipped 20%, but it's DoorDash's fault because they're not paying their driver the correct base pay in order to get the food delivered.
So I want to highlight this though because reasons. So my best tip this year was $100 cash for being a Marine vet. Thanked me for serving. $40 cash tip for helping an elderly lady. That's awesome, and thank you for your service. Appreciate you. So, Kim, I actually went inside somebody's house this week.
You did.
I did. I broke my own rule. I went
I'm
inside
like,
of the
you're breaking
customer's
some
house.
rules there, buddy.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. It was a Spark order, and she was a sweet little old lady in a well-established neighborhood. So I didn't really feel like I was at risk delivering 6 things of kitty litter.
Yeah, I probably would have done the same thing. And I'll be honest, I did the same. And I think we were talking about this the other night. I honestly, I broke my own rule too. I was doing a shop and deliver for DoorDash,
So
and sorry, go ahead.
no, no, sorry, because I'm going to segue here in a second. Go for it.
Yeah, no. So I was doing an order, stop and pay on DoorDash, and it was 3 bags, really easy shop. And the instructions when I got there is please call me and I'll meet you at the door. And it was a handed to me customer. So I called
Yeah.
and I said, "Hey, I'm pulling up. I'm here." And she goes, "Hold on. I'm going to open up the garage door. Can you bring it to the garage door?" I said, "Oh, no problem." I felt so bad. This poor woman, she broke her legs and like she was like literally in cast like at the door trying to like hold the garage door open. She even had like a hospital bed when he first she's like,
Oh,
"Can you put in my foyer?" I said, "Yeah, no problem."
yeah.
So
I
sometimes you
think
do break your rules.
I think that there's some times where you just kind of get the vibe that it's going to be okay. So,
Yeah.
Courier Quest, Australian here. The tip. So basically, like they're saying that the tip thing is strange, which I I'm always really curious to know what gig workers in other countries are making in base pay. Because I mean, without
You know,
tips, it
that would
wouldn't be
be a
worth
really
it
good
here.
question. Now, would and that's a good question. So maybe you can answer this for us. Is the base pay enough to compensate the drivers for doing an order?
Yeah. Yeah. And then Pam says her daughter was tipped $20 yesterday for helping a senior lady hang a new shower curtain that she had just delivered. I could actually see her being very enthusiastic about helping her with that. Pam's daughter is very friendly and very, very sweet as well.
Oh,
So,
that was really sweet of her.
Kim, like millions of Americans, we got some kind of sketchy weather here recently.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. You got a lot of snow. We only got a
I
little bit of snow, but
we
you
we
guys
got
got a lot of
snow.
snow.
Yeah, we got snow, and the roads weren't really cleared for like three solid days there. It was
That's
just
crazy.
yeah. So I want to highlight. Okay, now this is before the snow. So what had happened was the temperature dropped. We got as low as like -20 at one point with the wind chill. It was like sketchy. So this is to clarify before the snow, but during the freezing. So check this out. So these are 2 orders that I got on Uber Eats when it was 15 degrees out.
First
Like,
of all, shopping. First of all, Uber. I know you're gonna disagree with me on this, and that's fine. But I've seen some of the absolutely worst orders I've ever seen in the years I've been doing DoorDash on the Uber Eats platform in the past,
mm,
like literally couple of months. Like it literally is nope, 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 nope. Like you have to go through
yeah.
like I feel like 50 orders in order to get like one decent Uber Eats orders. And you see orders like this, and you're like, seriously, people, what is wrong with you?
So, are you talking specifically Shop and Pay or just Uber Eats in general?
Everything, shop and pay is regular order is like it just
Okay. So, I mean, like, I guess I'm grateful to my parents. They taught me to tip for good service, right? You tip somebody for a service. My parents would be embarrassed if I ordered that and tipped $2. Like, come on. And I think that was going to a college area too, if I'm not mistaken. So, and
I feel
Kim,
like
I find
and I feel like I'm gonna sound so old when I say this, and I'm gonna sound like such a mom right now. I feel like they should have like something in school that teaches people proper etiquette when it comes to tipping, when it comes to bill paying, like just different
yeah,
life situations. Like
yeah, for sure.
I feel like kids these days aren't really learning,
You
you
damn
know,
kids.
I know, right? I feel so old saying that, but they're not really learning like kind of life aspects that kind of gets them through situations just like this.
Yeah. So, the next one wasn't any better, right? Like, I'm not gonna go to Panda Express for $4, as we've already
No,
determined, Kim.
no.
So, I want to show
But that's
the
3.7. I'm talking about $4 order for like zero point 0.9 miles a mile. I'm not talking like 3 miles. That's crazy.
hey, whatever you got to tell yourself to sleep at night.
I'm sleeping quite well lately, so I'm good.
That makes one of us. I'm like literally texting Kim at like 5 o'clock in the morning, my time, like, hey, what are we doing for this, that, and the other? So
I'm
I
like,
want
"Phew."
to I want to highlight these pricks. On the DoorDash order. So this is $2.50, going 4.2 miles. It was a double, Kim, a double. I almost never see no tip orders in my market since Earn by Time rolled out here. But then I got that, a double no tip order when it was 15 degrees outside.
That's ridiculous.
Mm. So the the next one, I want to get the chat's opinion on this. So, am I putting this up here to show that there was some good in the end, or am I putting it up there because something went sideways with the Uber Eats order? Kim, what do you think?
I don't know, but I would have taken that.
Okay, so let's give the chat a minute here, but I will say this: Uber is the app that tends to pay the best in my market, that or Spark. So, when I saw that, I was actually like just wrapping up for the night, and then that came through, and I was like, man, I am on that.
I was gonna say, please tell me you
So,
took this.
well, yeah, of course I accepted it. So, all right, so far, ooh, that's okay. All right. Fair questions here. The store was closed, so they were not closed. I was wondering that myself. It was not a tip bait. Probably something went sideways. Pam says something went sideways. Spoiler, she knew how this order went. So there you go. And Michael nails it with the food was already picked up. So some asshole driver out there stole the order.
So you got
And I'm just
$3.
behind
You
them.
got your $3.
I got $3 and yeah, I got $3. I'm gonna just
They are
leave it
the
there.
worst. Like when it comes to canceling orders, like you have to admit, Uber Eats is like the worst.
Yeah, I kind of read him the Rad Act about that. I'm like I'm taking time out of my day to do that, because like drivers are just going to keep showing up, right? Like I don't want to be the reason that somebody else drives 5 miles to get that order just to end up disappointed,
No. It drives me crazy when like I go to a restaurant. Does anybody else feel this way? Right? So I go to a restaurant and they're like, you're the fifth driver to come pick it up. I'm
Right.
like, why hasn't a driver canceled this order? Like, I feel like it's always left to me to cancel the
Yeah.
darn order. It drives me crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I've kind of been on both sides of that fence, honestly, Kim. I've been the driver who's just been like, don't have time for this, whatever. But I've also been the guy to call support. So it kind of depends on what's going on, how busy it is. So if it's not to be a dick, but if it's 5:30 on a Saturday night, it's popping. I'm not going to waste my time on the phone with support unless I have another order on a different app.
I'm always going to cancel it. It's just my
Oh,
conscience. I know it's my conscience in me. But you know what I'll do though, as I'm trying to cancel the order, like I'm already have DoorDash on or I have Grubhub on, like I have something else on so I can continue and take an order while I'm trying to cancel this order. Like I'm not missing a beat if I'm trying to call Uber Eats and cancel this order. Like I'm multitasking my multi-apping, right? Is that a thing? I'm multitasking my multi-apping.
I think I forgot to add a slide in here.
Ooh.
I did forget to add a slide in here. Dang it. So I was going to show what happened when it actually snowed. So I was going to show a screenshot from my friend Pam where there were 10 available Spark orders to choose from. That never happens here. Like you got to drive to Walmart, be sitting in the parking lot at 20 after and hope that there's an order for you that's worth it.
My
There
spark
were
is dried up.
10. Yeah, there were 10 available at one point
Wow. Yeah,
to choose
my
from.
spark has dried up.
So, and then she sent me her para history that shows you like the Uber orders and stuff.
Yeah.
and the average payout was about $25 to $30 because there
Wow.
were no drivers out, and they were just jacking the prices up to get them delivered.
Why didn't they just if your roads and you were saying like your roads were bad, right? Like
Our roads were bad. Yeah.
you got like a foot and a half of snow, right? Is that what you said? You got a foot
It
and a half?
Yeah, it was somewhere between a foot and a foot and a half, I'd say, depending on the area.
Okay, but this is my thing with these companies. Talk about corporate greed. Why didn't they just shut it down?
Well, yeah, they do in some areas, but not
Right.
here.
That's what I'm saying. Like they should have just
Um,
shut it down.
Nathaniel texted me when we were dealing with all the snow, and they got like freezing rain or something. And so they actually did cease operations in Portland. But from the sounds of it, our weather wasn't much better, and they just kept it going here. Like, we're just going to pretend like we didn't see that.
Yeah, I feel like we can do
So,
like a whole Spark episode just because like Spark in my area and man, it's a hot mess. There's a lot of things going on
you know,
with Spark that we can probably have just like literally a whole episode just on Walmart Spark.
yeah. So, like, I would totally have been out making a killing if my car were decent in the snow. My last car was okay. This one is not.
I
So,
don't I know. Like your safety always should always come first, right?
well,
None of these
yeah,
companies, in my opinion, none of these companies ever take the safety of a driver. They're in it to make money. And how many orders can we still get delivered despite there being snow and ice and whatever?
yeah,
I will say, you know, Instacart last week for me, they actually sent out a thing that if it gets bad, we're going to shut down Instacart. Like
mhm,
there are still some companies, gig companies out there that says, nope, well, we're going to shut it down for X amount of time. I think Grubhub did that too, if I'm not mistaken. But Uber Eats and DoorDash, they just keep it going. And they just don't care. To me, they just don't care. They just want their money and they don't care what the weather is.
yeah. So, yeah, and actually, I was just about to bring this up. So, Pam's daughter is also named Kim. So,
Oh, good
yeah,
name.
so don't get confused there. So, her daughter made over $400 when it snowed in one
That's
day.
awesome.
So, I mean, if you've got the right kind of car to do it and you're comfortable driving in the snow, it can make a killing. But unfortunately, my car just doesn't perform very well in the snow. I actually, matter of fact, I had to drive to the store just up the road for me. And I had to do that twice when it had snowed. And I drive a standard, right? A little shifty car. That's the technical name, the shifty car. And I'm trying to like back out of my parking spot. There was so much damn snow. I killed the car twice trying to just back out of my parking spot.
Yeah, no. Hey,
So
I'm good. If it's snowing and the roads are clear, like I'm good. Like that's what like my daughter had a snow day from school on Friday. We got maybe 3 inches of snow. And the whole entire time I'm thinking, why do they have a snow day? The roads are perfectly fine. So as long as the roads are fine, I'm good to go out. I'll work and I'll do whatever. Snow doesn't bother me. The minute the roads start getting covered and like you can slip and slide, I'm out. I'm going home and I'm gonna be relaxing on my couch for the rest of the day.
yeah, I wouldn't have wanted to order though. Chances of the order showing up are like slim to none when it's like that. Because I mean, like, you're seeing 40 and $45 Ubers coming through, right? Like, those orders probably do exist at that point. It's just there's no drivers on the road to accept them. So they're trying to
Yeah,
entice somebody to take them.
yeah.
But anyway, so guys, I think this is where we're gonna wrap it up. We've been at it for about an hour now. So
It went by so
uh
quickly. I feel like
it
whenever we
did.
get into like really good
Yeah.
discussions, right? I feel like we just like lose time and all of a sudden it's like it's an hour later. I'm like, oh my God, it's an hour later. I just can't believe it.
So I want to highlight this. Senator Priola, who we all talked to in Denver, is the lead sponsor of the new TNC transparency bill in Colorado. We
That's
should all be
awesome.
proud that we had something to do with it. Quick
That's
backstory
awesome.
before we wrap up. Sergio, Kim, and myself were all tag teaming this senator in Colorado who had ended up backing out of supporting a bill that would have given drivers transparency. So we collectively worked together to educate this gentleman, and it looks like that paid off. So,
Oh,
well,
I'm so happy that
I know.
actually it makes me feel like we actually made a little bit of a difference in
Well,
what
I mean,
we
he was
do.
pretty
So,
blown away with some of the stuff we were showing him and telling him, right? Like we brought receipts, right? Like we had our screenshots, like
yeah.
he gave us some pushback on some stuff and you know, like it was good, we did some good. So
I'm
hopefully this
telling
time
you,
it
besides
works.
meeting all of you guys in Colorado, I think that was like one of my highlights. But one of my biggest highlights also from that trip was talking to the senator and like actually feeling like I actually got his ear and someone was finally listening to what gig workers go to and he was
Yeah,
actively listening and I felt like the three of us really did make an impact in hopefully his decision making. So
yeah. So your friendly neighborhood gig workers really do have your back here. So, all right. Guys, this was our first ever episode of How We Hustle. It is a brand new show that we are doing every other week. You can catch us every other Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Hopefully, I got that right.
yeah.
Um, so, our next show is going to be February the 7th at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. So we want to thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to spend some time with us. We hope you enjoyed the show and we hope you'll join us again next time.
Bye everyone.